Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series, Average Joe Day today, chaps. I'm excited, I know you are too. Before we roll out with the action, however, quick reiteration of the message I put out the other day, going out to all you Redditors out there, or even if you don't Reddit, it only takes a couple of moments to sign up for an account. Guys, all of the video content and media associated with FAF, it all gets thrown onto Reddit. It's a great promotional tool, not just for myself and my fellow casters, but also for the FAF community as a whole, help get new players on board, which is really what all of this is about. And to give you some idea, say this video, like most of mine do, kind of get around 2,000, 2,500 average views. If every single one of you went over to Reddit and threw a bunch of upvotes on those videos, and that would be good enough for front page stuff. So it really is quite the awesome potential promotional tool. So go, do, make happen. Awesome. That's sales pitch over. It's Average Joe time. My Joes haven't had enough exposure lately in the non-sex offender kind of way, of course. And it's about time we did one of the games. So here it is. It's going to be a ladder match. It's going to take place on Finn's Revenge. So let's head on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. So down here in the bottom left, in the blue corner, it's SirMonopoly. He's opening first land, and up here at the top right, in the red corner, going Cybrin, it's imqqdota opening first land and being cryptic about where he's going next. Nice to see the good luck, have funs being thrown out there by those guys. Lots of mannered play, always nice to see. And he's going second air indeed. How many PGens is he throwing down? 5, so not the conventional 7 we see for that early bomber that we were talking about. I think it was the last cast. But he is being a little bit aggressive here. Got a lab and a mole straight out of the gates there off that land factory, then going for engineers. So they're heading down the right-hand edge of the island, looking to make their way across the right land bridge and try and pick off an engineer at exactly the same time. We've got a striker and a snoop first out for Monopoly, going up the left-hand land bridge to try and affect some kind of engineer destruction. I think they're going to get lucky. There is one en route going straight for this mass extractor. And deeper kind of look here. They're not going to sit by this mechs. They look to be coming for a more penetrative approach here from Dota. Question is, are they going to miss this engineer altogether? They do have quite a wide intel radius. No, they're not. The lab gets redirected. In it comes. And some Monopoly is definitely going to lose an engineer. And exactly the same time, Striker picking up an engineer up there as well from Dota. So joint first blood going out to both players. Engineer down on both sides. Monopoly advancing with his ACU. Generally not the conventional side. You often see them go up the left-hand side if they're down here in the south. Pick up the mass on the cliff here with the extended range of the ACU, and then grab the mexes on their way up the left-hand side of the island. But I think that's kind of been prompted to move this way thanks to that little incursion there from Dota. Meanwhile, another engineer under threat up here for Dota. Nice grab there, and now this Mex looks like he might be in trouble as well. A couple more hunters coming in to engage the striker. How good's the micro? Not good enough, I don't think. Both of those bite the dust, and Striker continue on his merry way to take down that Mex. Dota's had enough. He's coming to handle this personally. The problem is he won't be in time to save that mass extractor, but Dota should be able to clear up those 2 units without any problem whatsoever. Bombers off the conveyor belt and running, 2 of them in fact. Dota moving them over to Monopoly's side of the board, taking a roundabout way, looking for some engineers to kill. He's going to get a bomb off. No, he's not. Passes straight overhead. Second bomber incoming. Looks to be beelining for this engineer though, and that will be a slight annoyance. He's just not going to finish that in time. Bombs away. Nice snag there. There are a couple of engineers clumped up in the middle. Is he going to get a good bomb away? Yes, he is. So 3 engineers out of commission. Another one back here as well. They're just having some tremendous success at this whole engineer killing game. We are seeing some archers in play though now from Monopoly. They should be enough to shoo away those bombers, prompt them to keep their distance from that base. Dota moving forward with his ACU. He's going to be battling against not only Monopoly's ACU but also a handful of strikers. He's going to focus on those first, rather unsurprisingly, before perhaps getting embroiled in some com-on-com action. There we go. But you've got to be careful, remember. Cyber and ACU, while having better regen, 18 to 10, is giving away a 2,000 hit point deficit on the base HP there, so want to get embroiled in a comm fight with a UEF ACU right off the bat. Generally a bad decision. Another kill there for that bomber, this time a striker. And Monopoly trying to erect some defenses over here in the east edge of the island, trying to throw down a T1 mass point. He's going to use his strikers as a screen to help push Dota away while he gets that finished. Dota going to be funneling some more troops that way, and to take a look at things, mass-wise seems pretty equal, about 17, 18 mass piece for these two guys, jumping up and down quite a lot. Now it seems to be 23 to 11. My god, that's a huge shift. So bouncing backwards and forwards, looked rather even for a moment there, but Mantis, having crossed the left-hand land bridge, gonna knock out this factory and has sufficient numbers to cause damage to the troops that's left. So nice early little engagement there, but a run by up here as well from Monopoly. So it's all go from these guys, attacking from all angles. Beautiful to see. Don't always see this amount of action in an average Joe's, certainly not this early on. One mech's down from these strikers that have made their way into the back of Dota's base here. I don't think they're going to be able to snag another one. Mantis turning up at exactly the right moment to be able to finish those off. Meanwhile, Mantis having some success still on this side, but starting to build up a critical mass of strikers here for Monopoly. More comm action happening over on this side. I mean, this is a lot of multitasking for guys at this level. You can see the ladder rankings not too low, 800 a pop for 1v1 ladders, so they play ladder matches fairly regularly, you would imagine. I did have a look at their global rankings. It was about 1,000 and 1,100 between the two, so a difference of about 100, not a lot in it. Monopoly taking a lot of fire there. He was down to 6,700 hit points on the clock for that ACU. Nice that he managed to finish that plasma cannon earlier. It's going to afford him plenty of defense. Dota had to stop pushing there and leave Monopoly's ACU alone. Another little push looking like it's forming up here, over here in the west for Dota. Monopoly does have a few units formed up in formation there, presenting a nice broad face to the potential incoming hostiles. Now seeing some bombers out for Monopoly as well. No kills on the clock for him at the moment. He looks to be going after this mechs. He's not going to get any traction here though, I don't think. 3 interceptors defending this territory nice and efficiently there for Dota. And now engagements kicking off, a little bit of skirmishing happening over in the west. I think Monopoly has the units to discourage that. Those units for Dota gonna fall back to more defensible position on their side of the pond. And then all was quiet. So no naval factories present as yet, and also no attempt for these side islands. Remember, these side islands have triads, they have an archer, so the absolute easiest thing to grab hold of early in the game, especially not while you're trying to keep up with your opponent. You don't want to place too much of your attention on that. Have a little skirmish happening over there in the west between these groups of units. Monopoly holding his own and still has the advantage of territory over here in the east as well, throwing down a radar there for extra intel, but Dota looking considerably more healthy on that ACU there. 8,800 to just the 6,500 on Monopoly's, and he's going to force Monopoly back behind the protective radius of that plasma cannon. Snoop making his way up the beach there. Interesting choice, perhaps just trying to get a little bit of intel. Not going to get too far with that though. Seems to be slightly more development going on, I guess, in Dota's base. I mean, look at the mass differential here. I think that's mainly because Monopoly's bottlenecking power quite badly. He needs to rectify that ASAP. How are we doing on reclaim between these two guys? Sniffed at under 2,000 mass there for Dota. with just 1200 mass for Monopoly. So Dota considerably better on the reclaim front in this game so far. And there is still this mass point in the Nook which hasn't been claimed at all. There's no wreck there or anything like it. There's an engineer on his way to do that. I thought he was. He looked like he was beelining for it, but currently not, I guess. Monopoly really wanting to lock down this land bridge. It's getting some rep assistance from that engineer. And that plasma cannon was a godly decision to build that there, but a nice overcharge or two from Dota takes it out of commission. Monopoly immediately starts to rebuild it. Dota's going to take that build time to mean he can wail away on Monopoly's ACU. He backs up a little bit, hoping to try and get out of the range of that PD when it's completed, but uh-oh, look what's happening in the northwest here. Monopoly has managed to scoot past Dota's forces, and this could be really dangerous indeed. That's a lot of units. He's even got some Lobos in there for quick building destruction power. He's going to come across a large band of engineers on reclaim duty, and it's a massacre. Down they all go. And this could be very nasty indeed. You can see Dota's forcing more units up there in pursuit, but that is a wide open base and a lot of power plants that are vulnerable there for Dota. Monopoly has a real chance to cripple Dota's power here. See him focusing in on the hydro. Down it goes. Where does that take Dota's power? He's still got enough thanks to that spam, so it hasn't crippled him too much. He's still doing considerably better on mass than Monopoly. Monopoly not going to try and do anything fancy, not going to try and save these units, just want to take down as many key structures as he can. He's knocked out one T2 mechs and another one in danger of being taken out. It's going to be close, he's going to manage it, so that's two T2 mechs out of commission. That is going to help his cause significantly. Meanwhile though, it has meant he's lost that land bridge over in the east. He's had to withdraw Monopoly into the water and get an upgrade on that commander. Guessing gun upgrade would probably be the sensible thing to go for there. Monopoly pushing up the western land bridge. In turn is also going to knock out at least two of those factories. Not going to manage a third, I don't think. That's far too many Mantis that have arrived on the scene. Another bomber getting his groove on there for Dota. Searching for more NGs. Dota needs to be a little bit careful. He's crossed over into Monopoly's territory, and now it's his turn to take a bit of a kicking from the units in the locale there. Eating Lobo fire as well, down to just 4,000 hit points, 3,800 in the end before Monopoly finally releases him. And how is that upgrade doing on Monopoly? We'll take a look at what it is he's going for. I'm guessing probably the Zeph amp. There it is, gun upgrade. And that will put quite a lot of power over on this side, and Dota's going to throw down a auto gun, so T1 PD going down for him. And that has really changed the fortunes of this land bridge over in the east. Monopoly emerges, and this is quite crucial. We've got Monopoly's ACU with that gun upgrade and some Lobos and Strikers in the area, but a nice grab there, upgrade in veterancy for Dota. Restores a bunch of health at just the right time. I was thinking Monopoly was going to press there, but decided not to in the end. Beautiful overcharge though. Snags at least 2 or 3 units in that mix. Decides to engage with his units at first. I think he needs to be a bit more aggressive. Dota's not got that many hit points on the clock. 5,500 to 5,700. He's got a slight advantage. Of course, he's got the extra power on the comm, and he's got all of these units. Dota, of course, with the overcharge, throws one away there. Kills a couple of extra units with it. Monopoly going to rebuild that land factory. Did manage to destroy that auto gun in that last exchange. Dota now finding some traction over in the west, however. Bringing in some Mantis. It's always so tough though, facing off against UEF. That extra hit point buff. 300 plays 270. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it really does make a difference on the ground. However, Dota could be about to score a little bit of payback here. Looks like he's managed to complete a run by. There is a plasma cannon here, but Dota just staying at maximum range. What's Monopoly's intel like? Pretty good. He's got a radar here. It's giving him good coverage, but those Mantis going to make it into the bowels of Monopoly's base there. There is another PD in place though. Monopoly being quite cautious with his base design. Not a lot of development though. Still operating off all T1 in the main base. 176% on its way to being upgraded. But Monopoly taking another heavy barrage of Mantis fire over in the east. Dota engaging once again. So much comm on comm. This is unreal. Monopoly needing to be careful, and there are hoplites in the mix, so Dota's made the transition to T2 land. Monopoly really needs to be careful about that, especially with him down on 5,300 HP. Does he have access to overcharge? Yes, he does. So Monopoly does have his energy storage in place. He's going to need that to deal with the hoplites if they start turning up in greater number. You can see them trundling in here. Where is that T2 factory? It's way back here in a nice defensible position. But still, 20 minutes gone. And Dota has been way ahead on mass comparably for most of this. But you wouldn't say he's running away with this at all. The fighting's been incredibly even. Dota just not able to capitalize on this extra income he's getting. Credit where credit's due to Monopoly. He's had much more efficient spam running for this. He's got 2, 4, 6, 7 T1 land factories in place. He did have an 8th up here. I'm sure there was another one around here somewhere, although I think the wreck is gone. But we haven't really seen many more out from Dota since those 3 factories got taken out over here. A few random straggling units there from Monopoly. Just getting popped. 3 bombers out to do some damage. That's a real shame. He needs to get in here. There's a whole bunch of build capacity assisting the production of hoplites from that T2 factory. If he could have taken that out, that would have helped his cause dramatically. I mean, look at the amount of units on the field. Yes, he's got the tech advantage, Dota, but there's a lot of spam south of the pond here for Monopoly. And if he attacks at the right time, doesn't matter if you make the tech upgrade, sometimes tech can be an Achilles heel if you go too early and you don't get enough units out. Dota on an upgrade over here. Take a look at what he's running on that. I think that might be T2 engineering suite. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. And on presses Dota on this right hand side, and Monopoly's going to need his ACU in the overcharge here. He's going to have to use it to try and get in and take out some of these hoplites if he can. Good overcharge there. One down, another one right by it. There's also a Rhino there that could do with being removing from the picture as well for Monopoly. Nice overcharge there, and suddenly he has the advantage over on this side and pushing up the vulnerable western land bridge once again. And once again, there's very little in this base for Dota to stop Monopoly. He's got more or less an open door. There is a Rhino here. There's a Mantis, another Rhino rolling off the pad. Units getting caught up here at the back, but you get the feeling that Dota's getting a little bit swamped by all this. T2 P-Gen going to be a prime target. There it goes. Volatility explosion taking out a bunch of other stuff. How has that affected Dota's power? Hasn't bottlenecked him. An early expenditure on T1 power gens is keeping him above water in this one. Rhinos popping T1 left, right and center, moving forward to avoid the splash from that volley of Lobo fire, and he manages to tidy things up, but not before losing a bunch of T1 P-Gens, a T2, I think a T2 mechs that was as well. But still no convincing victory for either player. I think that was the T2 engineering suite. That's a Burstmaster being placed down there. Some flak for Dota. Wants to get a handle on these bombers that have suddenly turned up for Monopoly. Just want to let that finish if he can, but it's too late. It is operational, and those bombers will want to move on if they want to keep their planes in the sky. Monopoly decides not to. Down he goes. Another attack forming over in the west. Monopoly looking considerably healthier than he did just a moment ago. 11,000 hit points and climbing. But Dota does now have a Cerberus turret in place, and while they don't have the same potency that they used to, they're still a real danger. Bombers incoming over the top from Monopoly. That's a better choice of target from him. Needs to take out that radar. He does. Also that mech's nicely done. This is good holding out though from Dota, considering the sustained attack he's under. If he hadn't have made that switch to T2, I think this would have been over by now. It's fair to say. But Dota turtling up quite nicely down here. He's going to place that T2 P-Gen. He's not going to build it in his base. He's going to replace it down here. I think that means it's likely he's to turtle up. He's going to probably throw down some shields. Excuse me. He's rebuilding that one as well. So expansion is policy-wise. Terrible idea, since he's having so much difficulty in shutting down this western flank. And now we're seeing some mongoose on the field, so finally some tech for Monopoly, and he's being quite ballsy. He's playing like the pros. He's decided to tech up that furthermost forward factory for him over here in the east. Yes, that gets your T2 units into the battle quicker, but it also exposes that factory to greater danger, of course, from counterattack. Monopoly making his way across the pond. Still no navy from either player. It is a big expenditure, so I don't blame them for it. And you often don't see navy appear on this map, no matter who's playing, so it's not just an average Joe's thing. Base looking a little bit more secure from air attack now. There's the odd tracer dotted about the place. Dota moving forward to knock out some of these units. So the earlier engagements that shed all of the hit points off those commanders has took its toll initially, but has now been repaired up, that damage. It's no longer a factor. And one triad there from Monopoly just wailing away on Dota's comm. He's just sitting there eating it all day. He's going to spam up a Cerberus turret of his own. And while that triad goes after Dota, those Cerberus turrets will finish off that triad. There's another one in production. Those T2 PDs there from Dota, guessing are probably going to get the edge. Significantly more damage though from that triad, and that was a mistake not finishing it off. Just extends the shield at the right time, gives him enough coverage to keep that alive. And now that is a wide open door over in the east, straight to that T2 factory, which is of course so very important. More mongooses arriving on the field, and both these guys just posturing now, trying to work out what, if any, advantage they could get. And Monopoly deciding to engage here. It's an interesting choice. Wouldn't be mine. That's shielded Cerberus turrets there. Going to do an awful lot of damage to your troops. You've got a bomber or two coming in overhead. Finally, that shield collapses. One Cerberus turret down. Excuse me, Monopoly, you had the right of it. Two Cerberus turrets down. And now Dota faces losing a bunch of HP or fleeing, but no, he doesn't. He's going to come in there, balls out, overcharge, take out 5 units, and force Monopoly to back straight on up. There's quite a lot of Mongoose, though, sitting back here. Large volley going straight after the hoplite in the back. I do hate how inaccurate those volleys are, though, from the missile barrages. Monopoly over in the west. Need to get his ACU into the mix to help defend that. However, once again, open door, and if Monopoly attacks now with that comm as well, with the gun upgrade, that could be massive issues there for Dota. I'd love to see Monopoly attack now and march straight into Dota's main base if he can. He's going to engage what land units he has. Monopoly needs to overcharge that hoplite. There it goes. Bam! Takes out a Mantis with it. And onwards he can press as we pass 32 minutes in this game. Could we see a decisive blow about to be dealt? That's the end of those units. He just needs to keep pushing. Suddenly a ton of hoplites, though, have turned up. Where on earth did they come from? Monopoly is indeed feeling very brave. Onwards he goes. You can see the difference, though, in eco, 35 to 21. So Dota really has the best or the better of the eco in this game. Going after the build capacity at first with the ACU. It'd be great if he could take out the power generator, but oh my goodness, what happened to your army? And now Monopoly finds himself stranded and alone in hostile territory. He's going to have to make his way to the closest patch of water, I think, dealing what damage he can on the way, overcharging as he goes. He has dealt a fair old bit of damage. That gun upgrade really helping him out in this one so far, but we've got a Jester on the scene. Have we got any interceptors in the area? Meanwhile, another little attack from Monopoly coming across in front of the Nook, trying to meet up with the commander, I guess. Monopoly down to around 9,600 HP and falling. Onwards he presses. Jester still taking those shots, taking pot shots at the commander. Nothing Monopoly can do about it for the moment. Still looking pretty good. He's right by the water, in no danger right now of going pop. He's nice and close and just make his way into that water without any difficulty. And now is the time to press again. That's a wide open door, although Dota does have his commander in there. And really, Monopoly needs to catch up in the mass game. There's a 6 mass deficit in here. And look at that. Engineer tried to throw down a T1 torpedo launcher. That's why Monopoly re-emerged from the water there, just to pop that NG to pause construction. He's going to continue moving down the coast. Another engineer, though, making his way into the water. Can we see another torpedo launcher in production? That's the question. Yes, it is. There's the cue, expecting the trajectory of the comm to come straight down here. And he's not going to want to emerge right in front of this base. Of course, 2 Cerberus turrets in operational mode, ready to take pot shots at any commanders that would befoul their path. Jester making his presence known once again, and a bunch of Mantis as well. Monopoly needs to be careful here. Nice overcharge, though. Snags 3 Mantis in that one, back into the water. He did start producing a T2 torpedo launcher, but he wasn't going to finish that in time, so he changed it up to a T1. Monopoly needs to come in here and reclaim that engineer, or maybe even capture it. I don't know if he's got the time to do that, but I think his attention is elsewhere. He's going to roll right past that, and that torpedo launcher is going to get finished and start bombarding Monopoly's comm. See the underwater turret turning there. Can't really dodge those, my friend. You've just got to get back to your side of the map. But Jester turning up down here to harass these engineers, and there's actually no anti-air down here whatsoever. And Monopoly down into the red, 3,700. He's going to start trying to build an anti-air gun, but another 3 Jesters turn up, and he's not going to be able to withstand that. He's going to have to jump into the water once again. The engineers take over the construction of that rail gun. Jester's still focusing on the comm. He's down to 1,900 hit points. And now the Jesters retarget the engineers. Will he be able to finish them off before that railgun gets completed? Yes, he will. Interceptor on the scene, however. But they're going to take a while. Well, it's going to take a while for one interceptor to chew its way through those Jesters. In the meantime, they're going to work on those triads, trying to open the door for the land units. There's a TAC missile launcher here as well for Monopoly. That's an interesting choice. He doesn't have a lot of eco to play with, and that will be sapping a lot of funds. When I say funds, of course, I mean mass and energy. Still 2 Jesters operational. Monopoly manages to finish a sea-based railgun, and that will at least alleviate the pressure for the moment. Still, units, though, building on this side. Couple of Mongoose in the mix. But we're looking at a pretty significant deficit now on the mass front, 45 to 27. And look at the reclaim difference as well. And a lot of mass being wasted from Dota. He's full bar and currently can't spend it quick enough. Needs to get more build capacity on these factories if he can. Start upgrading something. He's been binning mass. It's never a good thing to do, especially not in a 1v1. 45 to 27, though. Significant advantage eco-wise. And look at the power as well. 1.4k to 363 in favor of Dota. Flapjacks in play. So that's how Monopoly wants to break this little fire base. There is a lack of zappers. There is a lack of zappers in this forward little fire base for Dota, so that is a weakness. Question is that a priority? And we're finally at minute 39 seeing some Navy constructed there from Dota. Wise decision to use that extra mass, but look at this engagement that Monopoly is going for now. Lots of Lobos in the mix. If he can get in here, he can really cause problems for Dota's main base, but he hasn't been so successful on the last couple of attacks. And those hoplites are going to cause real difficulties, I think, for Monopoly in this. Attack looks like it could be stalling. Dota's right here with his commander, ready to overcharge at a moment's notice, you feel. And Corsairs in the mix as well. And Monopoly very low, and the Corsairs are going for Monopoly. We're going to have to keep an eye on these two things simultaneously. Monopoly having to go into the water at 2,700 HP. And the attack petering out for Monopoly on the main base. I think he's just beginning to run out of steam on this one. Interceptors coming in to try and finish off those T2 fighter bombers there. But taking tracer fire all the time, fighting over the top of Dota's base. Monopoly in the water for the moment. Of course, its torpedo bombers are always a threat. And indeed, Dota is pulling a couple out to try and finish Monopoly off. Interceptors out, going straight after those torpedo, or that torpedo bomber. Monopoly is going to have to be really careful here. Another torpedo bomber on the scene. Go back to single screen. It's the only real action happening for the moment. 1,900 hit points, but of course there are Corsairs in the area as well, and literally no anti-air base defense anywhere around this area of the map. Luckily for the moment, it seems Dota's easing off the pressure. Monopoly starts construction of a railgun. Takes another volley though from Corsair just as I say it. Monopoly back into the water. Torpedo bombers take off once again. Mantis coming in to try and harass this group of Lobos and Strikers standing by. Monopoly's com. Torpedo bomber incoming. Takes it down to 1,200 hit points. Hoplites waiting just offshore. This is not looking good at all. Railguns in production, but the Hoplites can take care of that. More torpedoes incoming. Takes him down to 800 hit points. He's going to have to be quick with the overcharge to knock out these Hoplites straight out of the water. And he eats a volley. Takes it out finally, but now he's vulnerable to Corsairs. 800 hit points. He's starting to build railguns again. And looks like another potential run. Bad place to leave your torpedo bomber there, getting taken out. But, oh, 86 hit points. Monopoly trying to get back into the water. He doesn't make it. The second round of Corsair fire takes him out. Dota takes this one at minute 43. Very nicely played indeed from both those guys. That was a hard-fought match. Always good to see some nice average Joes action. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. As always, more to come from me in the future. In the meanwhile, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle signing out.